And good afternoon. It is the American Soccer TV post-match reaction from a hair-raising game, let's say. We have Mr. Adam Beattie joining us from Liverpool. Adam, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, mate. Yeah, it was a bit stressful at one point, wasn't it? But we got there in the end.
I think every point was stressful, Adam. I don't think there was one single point that was on its own. But tell me, because I know you're walking away from the stage, what was the atmosphere like at Anfield, especially with the VAR decision, which the red card was absolutely atrocious. But what was the mood in the stadium for that?
Well, I'm going to have to ask you what happened for the red card. I'm still not quite sure what happened on that one. We weren't even sure completely that it was him at first. Like, for me, it didn't look like a red card. I've not seen it back. Atmosphere itself was great. I thought, considering first game of the season, everyone seemed up for it. But yeah, as I say, I would love to see that tackle again. Didn't look like a red card to me. Don't know what you thought.
It was very conclusively a 50-50 ball with both players with studs up, and both connected fairly gently, I would imagine, in the foot area. No shin breakers or anything. Basically, we were saying on the Discord channel that, you know, look, if that's a red card now, the game is finished, because that's the end of 50-50s. There was a fair challenge from both players. Yellow card at worst. Maybe a bit of a talking to at best to just go easy, but it's certainly not a red card by any stretch of the imagination. And yet again, as Alex on the Discord channel refuses to name him Tierney, but we'll call him Gorilla Arms in VAR. We always going to get the decision against him. But overall, though, I mean, we seem to look more like Liverpool with 10 men than we did with 11. Do you think?
100%, yeah. It was weird that as soon as they got the red card, they seemed to kind of get their act together. They changed shape. Obviously, Endo came on, and I never really. Obviously, Alisson makes that save at 3-1. Things might have been a little bit different if that had gone in. But yeah, I wasn't really panicking at all. Well, I was panicking when it happened, but I don't feel like at any point we were in danger of throwing the points away. I think kind of we did the hard part in the first half, getting ourselves back into the game. But as same as you, I think it was much better as soon as the red card ended up happening. And which makes no sense, does it? Of course it doesn't. But we kind of. Oh, apologies, there's a bike. As soon as that happened, he makes the change. We look a lot more stable, and other than the two saves, he makes that one save 5 minutes to go, and then he makes a save in injury time. Other than that, we weren't really under too much pressure, and you shouldn't be really, even with 10 men.
We had the first introduction of Endo. He looked good from the television, but how did he look live there on the field?
Say that again, sorry.
We got the first introduction of the new defensive mid, Endo. He looked good on television, but how did he look when you were watching him live? Maybe the pace of the game caught him out a little bit, but other than that, he looked fine.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think he comes on, he comes on straight after the goal, doesn't he? So it was kind of a good time to come on. The ground's bouncing. He loses possession pretty much straight away. His first touch of the ball, he gives it away cheaply. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it's a terrible situation for him to come into. He's literally the only defensive midfielder we've got in the specialist in the squad. It's an awkward situation for him to come into. Of course, he's done well. It's crazy, isn't it? He signed, 36 hours ago, and he's coming into this situation, and he would have come into it at 2-1. So Klopp obviously trusts him. Klopp obviously likes him. I think he's quite highly regarded in Germany. Personally, hadn't heard of him at the start of the week. But I think, as someone mentioned the other day, Japan were really quite well regarded at the World Cup, and you think if it happened 2 weeks after the World Cup, everyone would have been made up with it. So it's hard. It's very hard to judge him on the kind of the 20 minutes we've seen. But I think I'm fully on board with him. We definitely needed someone, and he's clearly, he's Stuttgart captain. Well, was Stuttgart captain, Japan captain. He knows what he's doing. I'm happy.
I just want to mention one thing before we let you go, and you don't get run over by any bikes, because we don't want that to happen. The banner that went around the stadium for Michael Jones, God rest his soul, for people who don't know, working on the construction site at Goodison, and tragically lost his life in an accident there. Just a testament to the spirit of Liverpool, the city, as much as the spirit of Liverpool Football Club, the fans as well, isn't it?
100%, yeah. I don't think there was any doubt that kind of minutes of applause was going to be respected. And what a horrible situation for obviously for his family and everyone who knew him. I mean, I absolutely hate Everton. Sure, you know, but when I think it's reciprocated in situations like this. They very much, if the shoe was on the other foot, I truly believe that they would have reacted in the same way. And thoughts go out to his family. I'm glad that we were able to give him a bit of a tribute. It can be a little bit strange sometimes when you do that sort of thing in the middle of the game. You know, there might be something happening, but it was well observed. And yeah, just terrible set of circumstances. Absolutely terrible what's happened. But it's always nice that like what like you said there, that we can show what we're about, which is I think what I would like to think what we did there. So yeah.
And one final thing before we let you go, it was an exciting game for the neutral, I would say. Do we have any overriding concerns going into the rest of the season, or is it just a case of we have a lot of new players and we need to gel them together over the next few weeks?
I would go with the second one, just because I'm an optimistic person. There was definitely some signs, especially in pre-season, that we were a little bit too open. We made ourselves a little bit too easy to get over the top. But I mean, I can't think of another team in the world that's got kind of the 5 forwards that we've got. We're extremely fortunate to have kind of that sort of attacking setup. I think we've definitely, as I say, we've left ourselves open and exposed a little bit too much. We've got Endo in. I would like to see another one personally, and definitely another centre back. But going forward, we're going to score goals. We scored 103 goals in all competitions last season, and we weren't great. So I think goals aren't going to be a problem. We just need to eliminate the silly mistakes. There was a couple there today that we could have got punished for. Alisson obviously makes that save towards the end. But all in all, I'm worried. No, I think we're going to be all right. I don't think we're necessarily going to win the league, but I think we're going to be all right. And that's as good as I can give you for now. It's very early days, obviously.
That works for me. I think we're all in that positive mind frame as well. Adam, we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening there in Liverpool. And thanks for being on. And don't get run over by any bikes, because we'd like to see you again.
Man. I'm off for a beer. See you later.
See you later.
Oh, hello. I'm on a live here. See you later.
There you go. We're getting all sorts over here on American Scouser TV. And we're going to bring in John here.
What's going on?
How are you, John? How was your heart after that game?
Well, it's fine, Macka. And let me just say, this is our first time linking up, so absolutely glad. Yeah, absolutely glad to meet you and have a show with you, man. So,
and more importantly, we balance it out with the hair.
Right, absolutely, man. So, yeah, my heart is fine. Considering we got that red card relatively early, 65th minute, I thought it was gonna be one of those where we were just sitting back and taking a lot of pressure. But let me just say that Diogo Jota goal just came at the absolutely perfect time, because imagine he doesn't score that, we'd be back against the wall and all that stuff. So, you know, apart from the sloppy start, I'd say it was a pretty good game. I mean, I know you mentioned heart attacks and all that, so not everyone sees it that way, but for me, it was a pretty decent 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10 performance.
I think in terms of the reaction to the red card, we couldn't have asked for any better, really, could we?
Right, absolutely. when I saw him bringing out a red, I was like, no, he's not serious. Seriously, this is going to get overturned because we see that challenge every game. That late challenge is just common. It's as common as the leaves that you see fall from trees, man. So I do not know what's going on there. The standard of refereeing, like we know that it's just like that. It's absolutely incompetent. But this is just a new low. I don't know. They just find a way to outdo themselves every week, don't they? So I don't know. We were talking in the Discord about it possibly being overturned. I'm not confident. I'm not confident about that either. So it's gonna be tough, especially considering who we're gonna be facing next. Newcastle away, never an easy game. Losing one of our best midfielders. We're already, lacking in the position as is, and we lose McAllister. It's rough, man. It's rough.
Do you think, though, did Dendo do enough to give you confidence that we could at least patch the hole in the midfield with him, or does he not offer enough of what McAllister offers us?
Listen, I think Endo did very well considering the situation he was subbed in. We were back against the wall, down to 10 men. We did have the 2-goal cushion, but that could have easily disappeared just like that. So I think he did relatively well. He looked the game was passing him by a little bit. I believe Adam mentioned it before I came in, and I agree with that. There were moments where he looked a step too slow, but in terms of him being signed literally yesterday, the fact that he was asked to come in, kind of shore up that back line, help out the defense. I thought he did as well as he could. So we all know he's a utility signing. We all know he knows that he knows the job that he's going to be doing, and there are worse starts. Let me just say there are worse starts.
Talking about worse starts, how many beers do you think Alisson had last night before the game this morning? Because that was a far from him, wasn't it?
Right, it's very uncharacteristic. But let me just say, the defense didn't do him any favors as well. We know Bournemouth was pressuring us like crazy there. That pass from Virgil was a little too strong to Trent, a little ill-advised. He probably could have shifted it somewhere else. Trent's touch didn't help either, but we could look at it both ways. We could say that the start is very concerning. Why are we starting off like this? But I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So I would say that the fact that we managed to recover and then grab the game by its neck and then get those 3 goals, secure the 3 points, and look relatively untroubled until maybe the last 5 minutes or so towards the end of the game was really good. It was a good sign. So I'm taking a lot of good things from this game. Like there's quite a bit that we need to improve on, but there's also quite a few good things as well. Namely, our newest number 8, Soboslai. What a player, man! What a player! Absolutely, what a player.
I gotta try and get it. I'm gonna try and popularize it that he's called Jabo. So we can have Robbo and Jabo on.
I like that. I like
that. Now, talking about the defense, it was a bit shambolic at the start. There is question marks. There's no doubt that in terms of experience and technical ability, Virgil is probably our best defender. But does he have the leadership qualities to organise a back four when they're under pressure?
Well, he has to now, Macka. I mean, like with Henderson gone, with Milner gone, he absolutely has to step up here and kind of shore up that back line. I think in the first few games, these first 2 games, I think he stepped up to the plate, taking that responsibility with the captain's armband by the neck and has delivered. That path to pass to Trent wasn't really ideal, but overall, I think he with Dominic Solanke looking to give him problems, I think he stepped up, and especially towards the end, he helped shore up that back line. There will be tougher tests, especially next week against Newcastle and all that. Chelsea, I think he and Konate coped really well, especially when under pressure. But to answer your question, yeah, I think he's coped well so far, but very early days. There will be tougher tests.
Now, stick with the back line. I thought, and I'm a huge fan of Trent Alexander-Arnold, but I thought we looked a lot better and more balanced when Gomez came on, almost because he was playing as a traditional fullback, and we didn't need, with the man down, we didn't really need Salah to be that wide. We needed him more central. Do you think there's something to be said for playing horses for courses when it comes to that right-back position, and maybe playing Gomez in some games when we need more defensive stability, and then playing Trent in the games where we need that attacking impetus?
Well, there is an argument to be made, but I feel like Trent's attacking, he's world class in that area. I think it kind of offsets whatever defensive frailties he shows. Like, he hasn't had the best starts. Let me just put that out there. He hasn't had the best starts. He wasn't good against Chelsea. He looked a bit too exposed here, gave the ball away a few times, but we saw him pinging balls around at certain times as well. So you can see the quality there. Now, his injury is a concern. I definitely would love him against Newcastle, especially since I expect us to soak up a bit of pressure. So his out ball is going to be absolutely critical for that game. But to answer your question, I think in terms of when we are down to 10 men or when we're sitting back, a Gomez for Trent substitution isn't always out of the cards. I think it works, but then I feel like Klopp is incredibly forward-thinking, incredibly progressive in how he wants his team set up, that Trent would be indispensable, man. I think that might be blasphemy to him. So, yeah, as much as sometimes we want to set the team up a bit more conservatively situation-wise, I don't think Klopp sees it that way, man. I don't think he does. So Trent.
I'm gonna keep you on for a bit because we want to bring the boss man in here. We want to bring Timuchin, and how are we? The boss.
Hello. What's going on?
Time on the camera. So we're talking about the Gomez and Trent Alexander-Arnold thing. And we had speculated, I believe, before the season ended last year, that maybe Trent would be the 6, and then we buy right back. Obviously, that's not what happened. Is it still a weak point? And more to the point, are both of our fullbacks a weak point? Because last week we were giving it to Robbo about his positional sense defensively. Is it time to maybe start planning the future without one or the other?
I'm not sure. I mean, not from this game, I guess. It really depends on what we're going to do now with Endo as well, right? I think it was kind of like a different scenario with Fab in there, with the experience and the system and all that kind of stuff. It was going to be probably an easier adjustment. I guess you could argue that with the new guy coming in, it's a lot easier to implement a new system that is new to everybody as well. But I think we are better off going back to where we were now that we have players like Szoboszlai, McAllister in midfield. I think the inverted fullback, when we were lacking that creativity in midfield, was a blessing, and it really helped, even though it did hurt Robertson. But I think now you have those guys in midfield who can create. So you don't need to force Trent in there. I think, you kind of like mix it in a bit more and have him hop in there as the creator, but be the right back that he should be. I think that also helps Robertson on the left-hand side, who I thought had like a really good game today, actually.
In terms of, as you say, like having the two more creative midfielders, and let's not forget, as much as he spends on the injury table, let's not forget Thiago. He's an exceptionally creative player when he's fit for 10 minutes. I
love the smile that Tim made, by the way, because we have a running joke in the morning show about Thiago, man. Like,
yeah, I mean,
to be fair, he is a running joke, or in his case, a non-running joke, a hobbling joke, maybe. But we do seem to have the bones of a very good midfield. Again, I don't believe Klopp's ever had a spectacular midfield. It's always been a fairly functional, does the donkey work in the middle for the creative players up front. I mean, little mistakes aside at the start of the game today, our back four and Alisson, they kind of know what they're doing. They probably just lack that Endo type player in front of them that just tackles and passes. Up front, we have an amazing attack, but is it time to start thinking of the non-Nunez version of Liverpool up front?
The non-Nunez version? So the current...
Yeah. So we'd have Gakpo, we'd have Salah, we'd have Diaz, Elliott, Doak when he gets his wings because he's fantastic, and Jota, and then maybe somebody who isn't Darwin Nunez, because he's not impressing really, is he, so far?
Man, we should really bring Macka on the mornings with Anand in the morning, because you guys will get along just great. You're literally picking on everybody that he constantly preaches. I mean, I've been saying this for a while, and it's not just to piss off Anand in the morning. I just feel like it is not a fit. Will we eventually make it a fit with Nunez? I'm not sure. I honestly still think, I know Jota got his goal today, but I thought he was extremely poor overall. You do get that pressing and winning the ball from him, but I think he lacks that interplay. He's more like a poacher, and he's going to be in the box and score the goals, but he does not have the interplay as well as Gakpo. So I do want, ideally, I mean, hopefully this red card will not bite. I mean, like, you have a defensive midfielder. If that's Endo, it's Endo. And then you have McAllister and Szoboszlai, and you put Gakpo in the middle with Diaz on left and Mo on right. I really think that's the ideal lineup. Not only that, I mean, we talked about this with John in the past too, that, Jota is a lot better coming off the bench and can make an immediate impact off the bench just because of the style of the game he plays. Whereas I feel like Nunez struggles when he comes off the bench because he finds it hard to get in the game, and he does things that are not part of the game plan to be able to get in the game and things like that. Whereas Jota just comes in and can make an immediate impact. We saw that with Bobby too. Like, he can come in and do things when they come off the bench. Not every player is built to be able to do that.
Well, Sir Z over there with the Nunez gone by the end of the season comment. I don't know if you caught that. But yeah, I agree with Tim as well. As much as I love Jota, he's an absolute gunman. Like, you give him a chance, it's a goal. But in terms of everything else, he's not exceptional. So he's probably best off the bench. Now, if you got Gakpo starting, you got Jota off the bench. Where does Darwizzi come in? Right? Is the question. Like, I don't think he's good enough to play at the wing. Right. I agree with Sir Round. He hasn't got the pace. He hasn't got the vision, the passing, or it's tough. It's tough for Jota, man. But he gets the goal, but then it covers up a lot of mistakes that he makes. So yeah, ideally moving forward, he's definitely coming off the bench. Gakpo starts, which again leaves massive questions for Darwin Nunez. I do not see him breaking into this attack anytime soon, unfortunately, unless it's a cup game, a Europa game.
Unless he comes in on the left, like if Diaz is hurt, and I don't know what it was, and he was, I thought, our best player, really. So that was kind of scary to see. Right. But I can see Nunez maybe being on the left.
Can't dribble, though, Tim.
With the speed. And that's, but at least it's a threat. It's a speed threat. It's somebody that Trippier, for example, has to worry about, especially going against Trippier with that speed. Right. So Nunez is going to bring that. I think Nunez's future is more on the wing than being a target 9, unless we change how we play, which with Klopp doesn't seem very likely.
Let me throw something to you that I just thought while I was keeping an eye on the BBC feed on their website just as the game's going on. Just because we're talking about players that have an instant impact, but who can also lead the line, Mitrovic is not happy at Fulham. Would that be worth a punt for a game such as this, where it's Bournemouth, so we should have expected more possession, even with the 10 men, but against maybe a better team, maybe a Spurs or Man United or Fulham, Brentford or Brighton, maybe we need that battering ram approach. Do we need somebody a little bit different than what Nunez is offering us right now in that sense?
I don't know. You just want to me, that's just the Nunez who doesn't have the speed. Maybe more used to the Premier League, but it's the stronger but slower Nunez. I just don't think we have the system that needs a 9 or looks for that 9. And yeah, Mitrovic wants the paycheck. That's why he's unhappy, because he wants the generational wealth, as we like to call it, in the contract. That's what he's after, I think. But yeah, I don't think so. I think Gakpo is the guy you need there. I feel like Gakpo is the successor to Bobby, a faster and taller, like more dangerous in the air as well player in there. I think that's the guy to put, because we need interplay from that person. Now, 3 years down the road, when you don't have Mo, when off the wing to kind of like cut in and stuff like that, do you play with more of a target 9? I'm not sure, but as of now, the way this team is structured, you need your guy in the middle to connect the wingers, drop back when needed, open space for them to run into and stuff. And you don't get that with Nunez, clearly, and I don't think you're gonna get that from somebody like Mitrovic either, personally.
Absolutely.
John, last question for you before we let you go. If we don't get the sending off, if that's just the yellow card, does the game pan out the same way, score-wise and performance-wise?
I think we score quite a bit more, actually. We look very lethal when we were playing with 10 men, let alone if we played with 11. Again, never a red card. We see that kind of challenge every single game, and it's like the ref just wanted to make it about himself or something. Like, I still can't get over that. But yeah, to answer your question, I think we score around 2-3 more. Game finishes around 5-6. We were in the mood, especially in the second half, with Soboslai just running circles around him. Man, what a player we've got there. Our newest number 8. Finally, someone who's going to be wearing the number 8 shirt and looks like he's going to be living up to Stevie G, let me just say.
Okay, John, it was nice talking to you. Nice meeting you. I'm sure there'll be many more times we will do the same. Have a good afternoon. We will bring in Trevor, who's walking and who wants Theory to be sent to prison. Trevor, how are you? How's your stress levels?
All it took was a couple beers and a little bit of brunch, and now I'm doing all right.